Marc Marquez arrived in Thailand as the reigning world champion and the overwhelming favorite to defend his title. He is leaving Buriram with 0 points from the Grand Prix, a controversial sprint penalty still burning in his chest, a rim that literally exploded on track, and a 2-3-point deficit to the championship leader after just one race weekend. And the 9-time world champion's reaction to all of it tells you everything about why he is still the most compelling figure in MotoGP, because his response to a complete disaster was to look the cameras dead in the eye and say simply, "No panic." If MotoGP lives rent-free in your head, hit subscribe. We break down every race, every drama, and every championship twist before anyone else. Let's go through every single thing that happened this weekend, because this was one of the most dramatic opening rounds in recent MotoGP memory, and Marc Marquez was right at the heart of all of it. It started with a warning nobody in the Ducati camp wanted to hear. Marco Bezzecchi was the fastest man in every single session he participated in before Saturday's sprint, pushing nearly half a second clear of the field in practice and taking pole position comfortably. The Aprilia was on a different level. Marquez qualified second, his teammate Francesco Bagnaia failed to make it through Q1 and would start 13th. The signs were already pointing somewhere uncomfortable for the Borgo Panigale factory. Then the sprint began, and MotoGP delivered one of its great short race spectacles. Bezzecchi, starting from pole, crashed out from the lead on just the second lap, handing Marquez a clear track and what looked like an uncontested path to 12 sprint points. But Pedro Acosta had other ideas entirely. The KTM youngster attached himself to the back of Marquez's Ducati and spent the next 10 laps throwing everything he had at the reigning champion. Every lap, a new attack. Every attack, Marquez covered it. "Every time Pedro passed me, I immediately regained the lead at the next corner," Marquez said. The crowd was on its feet. Then came the penultimate lap. Turn 12. Acosta made a mistake at turn 5, and Marquez seized the moment, launching a dive bomb at the final corner that sent Acosta wide into the runoff. It was the move of a champion protecting a victory. And then the message appeared on his dashboard: drop 1 position. Penalty confirmed for causing contact. With no time left to fight back, Marquez pulled over, handed the place to Acosta, and crossed the line in second, sarcastically applauding the steward's office as he rode past the pit lane. That image said everything his measured post-race words chose not to. His verbal response was meticulous and devastatingly controlled. "That penalty, it's the new era in MotoGP. They want it like this, so we need to adapt. The riders have nothing to say. We need to follow the rules." He paused, then added, "I never cry and I will never cry. I will adapt my riding style to the bike and the championship." But the frustration broke through on one very specific point: the timing of the notification. If they want to have this system be more strict, they need to send the penalty already on the exit of turn 3. Don't wait until the last corner. That is an entirely valid technical complaint. A minute and a half to deliver a penalty in a 13-lap sprint race is an enormous chunk of time, and it left Marquez with no realistic way to recover the position through racing. He was forced to simply pull over. When asked if he would speak to the stewards panel chairman, he shut the conversation down immediately. "No, I'm not a steward. I'm a rider." 9 points, a sarcastic clap, and on to Sunday. And Sunday started with a hint of damage limitation that quickly became something much more interesting. Bezzecchi led from the front from lap 1, this time controlled, methodical, and utterly dominant in the way that made everyone wonder why he ever crashed from the lead the day before. He managed what he later described as critical tire wear perfectly and crossed the line over 15 seconds ahead of Raul Fernandez in second, with Pedro Acosta completing an extraordinary weekend by taking third. But the race that unfolded behind them was Marquez's, because what he did in the middle stages of that Grand Prix was exceptional. He came off the line sluggishly, was immediately passed by 3 Aprilias, and dropped to a deeply uncomfortable position in the early laps. The paddock began whispering about his physical condition. He had been dealing with illness throughout the weekend, on top of the shoulder injury he sustained in Indonesia at the end of 2025. But then he lit up. He reeled in Jorge Martin and Pedro Acosta simultaneously, executed a stunning double move into turn 4 on lap 10, and dragged himself back into a position where a podium was genuinely possible. Fernandez ahead of him was struggling with tire degradation. Third place was right there. 5 laps remaining. And then his rear tire exploded. Not degraded, not slowly gave up, exploded. Marquez described the sensation with total clarity. It was like I hit a big rock. Ducati team boss Davide Tardozzi explained what actually happened. Unfortunately, he went to the curb at turn 4, and he broke the rim. That's why he lost the air, and he was forced to stop. He hit the edge of the apex, and he broke the wheel. No, I don't remember that I've ever seen something like that. We could say that it was a mistake, but he has been really unlucky, because many riders went out in turn 4, and nobody had this problem. Michelin's MotoGP chief Piero Taramasso backed that up. Pointing to the aggressive curbs and extreme heat, he revealed that Michelin's tent had been receiving bent rims back from riders all weekend, with the track temperatures at Buriram doing damage that simply doesn't happen at most circuits. Joan Mir suffered a similar rear tire issue on the Honda shortly afterward, parking in the garage with rubber visibly missing from the middle of his tire. But Marquez's failure was the most dramatic and most damaging of all, a rim hanging off the wheel, a championship contender climbing off his bike on the side of the circuit, and a crew watching from the garage in stunned silence. The broader picture for Ducati after this weekend cannot be understated. Their 4-year, 8-8 race consecutive podium streak, one of the most remarkable team records in modern MotoGP history, ended at Buriram. The last time a MotoGP race finished without a Ducati on the podium was the 2021 British Grand Prix, and Tardozzi was deeply troubled by something that went beyond the tire failure. Very difficult weekend, because it seems like Aprilia has grown up a lot, and they were incredibly fast with their 4 riders this weekend, he admitted. In the end, there is something strange that this weekend we found the bike completely different from the previous one when we were here for the test. That's something that we still haven't understood. A team boss telling the world he doesn't understand why his bikes behave differently in the race than they did in testing at the same circuit 3 weeks earlier. That is a technical mystery Ducati needs to solve fast. Francesco Bagnaia, who started from 13th after his Q1 elimination, and openly said he was taking longer than I should to adapt to the GP26, compounded the misery by adding almost nothing to Ducati's overall points haul on Sunday. And there is a deeply uncomfortable historical parallel sitting underneath all of this that nobody in the Buriram paddock wanted to say out loud, but everybody was thinking. Last year, at this exact same track, Francesco Bagnaia suffered a tire failure that contributed to the beginning of his catastrophic season collapse. Now Marquez has suffered almost the identical failure, at the same corner, at the same circuit, in the first race of his title defense. Fate, as one Italian journalist put it, has a very dark sense of humor at Chang International Circuit. What do you think? Was the sprint penalty fair, or did the stewards cost Marquez a victory with their delayed decision? Can he claw back 23 points over the remaining 21 rounds and defend his title? And is Aprilia's performance in Thailand a genuine sign they are now the bike to beat, or was Buriram a one-off? Drop your predictions in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more MotoGP news. I'll catch you in the next one.